All right, sister, get ready because in this action-packed episode, we're going to talk about how heavy should you be lifting for best results, how to eat to optimize those results in perimenopause, and when to know that lifting heavy isn't the right thing for you. Let's dive in. What's up, sister? Welcome back to the Period Whisperer podcast, the show helping perimenopause and menopause women de-stress your body and decode what it's saying to you so you can own your own health, energy, and weight loss again. If you're new, I'm so happy you're here. I'm Bria. I'm your host, a recovering people pleaser and hustle addict turned functional and holistic hormone specialist. Let's lean in and learn what your body is saying to you. All right, sister, if you love fitness or want to love fitness or know that you should love fitness or are trying to have more fitness in your life and you can't quite figure it out, you're going to love this episode. I had on health coach, author, and host of the Healthification podcast, Kate Galli, who's a qualified master personal trainer, life coach, NLP practitioner, and has also completed the eCornell plant-based nutrition certification program. And we talked about all things fitness for this time in life, as well as nutrition. She spent 18 years helping thousands of individuals sculpt a body and life they love, and she has so much amazing information to share. And we dive into it all in this episode. All your burning questions that we want to talk about. How much, when, all the things. So I hope you love it as much as I do. She is a breath of fresh air, and enjoy this interview. I hope you like it as much as I did. Let's get to it. Well, hey there, sisters. Welcome back to the Period Whisperer podcast, and welcome the amazing Kate Galli here with us today. I'm so happy that you're here.
Bria, it is my absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Oh, this is great. It's always great. It's so cool to talk to someone, in this space, even though you're on the other side of the world. We're all out here just trying to spread some good quality info and help a sister out, right?
Absolutely. And technology, when it works, I love that we can have this conversation from the other side of the world. Super cool.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to dive in. I think this is such a great topic. I think that all the sisters listening are going to take a lot away from it. But I always like to start here, how did you even get to being like what? I feel like there's a lot to your name, to what you've got going on. But as a trainer, a master trainer, a life coach, and a plant-based nutritionist, how did you get here?
So the trainer part, I guess, the loving the gym, the lifting weights, I actually first got into the gym as a means by which to transform both my body, but more so my confidence. I was a debilitatingly shy teenager, and I love the way that lifting heavy weights specifically in the gym allows you to choose your curves, as I call it, and transform your body in a way that feels really, really powerful. So that was almost 3 decades ago now that I first became obsessed with the gym. It would take me probably a further decade before I turned that into a career. So I was 29 and I kind of thought now or never. How ridiculous that now or never.
But 29, yeah.
100%, exactly right. Because I'm 47 now. But I kind of thought about what was the thing that doesn't feel like work that people always ask me about and I never get bored of talking about. And at that point in time, it was, lifting weights and fitness and the gym. So that's why I turned it into a career. And then the plant-based component, that would take another full decade. I'd been a personal trainer for 10 years. I was vegetarian. I'd been vegetarian since I was 16 for the animals. And I followed a pretty low carbohydrate, pretty high protein, which I don't advocate now, but low carb approach to creating a body you love. Was super confident with the body I was rocking around in at that point in time.
Yeah.
And I watched a documentary, Cowspiracy, and I learned that if I was vegetarian for the animals, I needed to be vegan for the animals. And so that was when I made the transition to full vegan, plant-based, whatever we call it. And that was 8.5 years ago now.
Wow, I love that. I think that I'm a vegetarian as well for since I was
I didn't
9.
know. Amazing.
Yeah, for animal reasons as well, and I've sort of dabbled back and
Yeah.
forth with full plant-based here and there. I'm very choosy on my
Cool.
dairy, I always say, very, very choosy about the source of
Yeah.
it, but I think it's such a power because people are vegetarian and plant-based for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it's the
Hmm.
animals, sometimes, it's the environment. I'm seeing that more and more with my clients, which I
Definitely.
think is amazing. So, and I think it's a beautiful thing as long as you're doing it right, right? So
A
it's
hundred
incredible, yeah,
percent.
that you're out there
Yep.
and you're sharing those things. So now
Thank
that's
you.
what you really combine both of those. When you work with women, when you train, you're combining both of those components, or do you work with non-plant-based people?
Well, because I've been a trainer so long and historically my clients have been so incredibly loyal and stayed with me for so long, I was that crazy vegetarian trainer when they met me, and then I became vegan, and that was a lot more extreme in
Yeah,
their minds. And so most of them actually still always ate animal products,
yeah,
and they were very curious to see how this big lifestyle change, zero animal products, would work for me.
yeah,
I felt a lot of pressure, to be frank, that I was kind of upholding the lifestyle, and would it work and would it not?
yeah.
And obviously it did work. And the reason I keep using was because all of those lovely old clients lived in Sydney, which I actually left Sydney, the city I'd lived in for 25 years, at the end of the year and
Wow.
moved to Noosa. So that's why I'm saying was about all those clients. I have new clients here in Noosa now. So to answer the question more specifically, the big learning with me is how to sell or frame this plant based or vegan lifestyle with love and compassion and
Mm,
deliciousness, and not force it on my clients from the get go or ever really. Like, as you said, Bria, let them come to it for their reason in
yeah.
their own time frame.
Yeah. It's funny, I think, and as a trainer and in nutrition as well, like I think at the end of the day, every goal we have really has to come from ourselves, doesn't it?
A
It has to,
100%.
otherwise
Do you
it
know,
could go temporary.
I will take it right back to when I was 18, before I got into the gym, when my father said, Katie, you should join the gym. You should join the gym. And I was like, Dad, I'm not fat. That was how I thought back then. And he was obsessed with the gym, and he tried to get me to join the gym, and it never stuck because it was about his goal, not mine.
Yeah.
And it didn't stick
Good
until it was
example.
about what I wanted.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Okay, we could
Yeah.
talk about everything, but let's get into it because I want to share all your beautiful knowledge as best as we can today. And so in your practice, as a trainer, as a nutritionist, as a life coach, what are you hearing from women in these midlife years? So you're right in it with me. You said you're 47. We're like in the
Yeah.
years about
Yeah.
what they want for their health and really what they're struggling with these days. What are you noticing?
Generally, it is fat loss, it's weight loss, it's feeling confident in my body
Mhm.
again. As I know that you speak about so much, maybe what worked for us when we were younger no longer works for us at our age. And so either ladies, the weight has gradually crept on, just bit by bit by bit by bit, or they are doing so much to keep it off. It's like a constant struggle. They're
Yeah.
fighting their body. It's restrictive with food. It's like way too energy and time intensive with
Yeah.
exercise. And it's not working with their body. It's fighting their body. And that's just not fun or sustainable.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I think that's often what I'm hearing from women. Of course, there's other impacts, but I always think of weight as like the canary in the coal mine. Like it's usually an indicator of
Yeah.
something else going on. Um,
Yep.
but with women you're seeing who obviously have this focus around weight loss, I think a lot of us, care about this. And this maybe is an obvious question, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Where do you feel like fitness fits into this piece of actual fat loss?
So fitness is huge,
Mhm.
definitely. With any body composition goal, I would say food comes first. So that's what we
Mm.
need to look at
Food
first. You're going
comes
to get the
first.
highest bang for your buck so far as your nutrition. But let's say if they are doing their nutrition right, and
Yeah.
there are many rights, but let's say they're eating better, not less. I'm very much a fan of abundance, not restriction with your nutrition. Let's say their foods are whole food focused
Yeah.
and high nutrient value. And so let's just say they've got that food component locked and loaded.
Yeah.
The fitness components, consistency is key. Often
Mm.
we're stop starting and we're just repeating that really hard struggle street phase where it's all new and it's not fun and maybe you're not so good at it and you're just not enjoying it, and you stop and you start and you never get to see the results. So I
Yeah.
would say consistency is key
Yeah.
and lifting heavy weights is
Mhm.
key. If a lady's not yet doing it and not yet seeing the results, that is something I wholeheartedly believe she needs to work into her plan.
Yes, I love that. Okay, at first I have to just highlight, like, food comes first, you're just dropping bombs, and eat better, not less. I think those are
100%.
like, if we finish this call right now, like, those are 2 amazing tidbits already, so thank you for that.
Oh, my
And,
pleasure.
um, I have to just ask because 'cause we're right here in it, but how heavy is heavy? I mean, it sounds, I
Yeah.
think as a trainer that's in it right now, when you say lifting heavy, what does that mean?
Yeah. And it's funny because I never needed new clients that like the past 18 years I was at capacity in
Wow.
Sydney because everyone just stayed with me, which is beautiful. And I've started at a new gym just a month ago. And so
Yeah.
I've got new clients, which is really cool. So I'm going through this, men or women, when they start with a personal trainer or when they start with me, usually they could be lifting a lot heavier than what they are. And so you start off safe. It's as heavy as what is not comfortable, as heavy as what is safe for your body with good form.
Form, yeah.
But generally, when we're getting to an end of a set, you don't want to have more reps in you at the end of the set. If you
Mm,
get to 12 and you're like, I could do another eight, that weight is too light.
yeah.
Um, Again, form and safety first and all of that. However, within your weight session, the weight should be so heavy that that is your full focus. You're not glancing around the gym seeing what other
Mm,
people are doing. You're
yeah,
certainly not on your phone while you're on some machine just flicking your arms or legs up in the air. Like full focus.
yeah.
And that's actually one of the best things about lifting weights. It's precious you time because you can't think of any of the other
Mhm.
stresses in your life. You are just thinking about that rep that you're doing right now.
Yes, that's amazing. I think you just gave us some really incredible gift there because I think you're right. We do often allow our mind to wander. And I think
Mm.
sometimes we choose workouts that allow our mind to wander. And I think a
Yes.
lot of my long-term athletes are like, I don't want to do yoga. I'm like, why? Because there's too much like focus in the moment. Those
Yeah.
small things.
Wow. Yep.
Like
Yep.
that. That's a really good tip though. You're right. You shouldn't be able to be focused on anything else other than
No.
your form and the muscle you're focused in.
A
That's
hundred percent.
a really cool way. So I love this idea that you share, and this is really what I wanted to talk about with you today around weights being passive income. I think it's like I
Yeah.
love analogies, I love metaphors. Can you speak to that for a bit? What do you mean by that exactly?
Absolutely. So, weights lets you build muscle, and muscle is metabolically active
Mhm.
tissue, and it just sits there burning fat 24/7, looking all sexy and burning fat
Ah,
24/7. While you're in the gym, while you're eating lunch after the gym, while you're in bed, it is doing its job just sitting there. And you might remember, someone listening might remember a point in their life or a friend in their life who joined the gym at the same time as their partner.
mm,
Let's just say it's a man and a lady, and they join the gym and they have the same goal and they do the same amount of exercise, and maybe they even cook and eat together and they eat the same food. And that man gets much faster results than the woman. And it's not that he is working harder, it's just that naturally the man has a higher percentage of muscle mass than the woman
yeah,
until they both start working out and that woman chucks on, she can chuck on the muscle for sure she can.
yeah,
However, that muscle is sitting there burning fat for the man, so he sees faster results.
yeah.
Um, Back to our little analogy though, the passive income. So, you're not working beyond the weight session and you're still getting the bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Whereas with cardio, it's more like working for the man, or let's say working for the woman.
Mhm.
You get the results for the time you spend in the gym
Yes.
at most.
Yeah.
Sometimes not even that much because there are diminishing returns for the cardio, right? There's the opportunity cost of what you could be doing while you're treadmill trudging, and it's taken up hours, and there's
Mhm.
so much other stuff you could be doing. So, yeah, that's the weights as like a passive income
I love
analogy.
that. I think it's a perfect analogy. It really is almost like when you're I think of it as well when I was thinking about this metaphor that you have that I love. I was thinking about how cardio is almost like investing sometimes in things that we don't get much of a return on. You know, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
great, you bought this car. I'm sure you love the car, but you're never going to sell that car for what it's worth. Whereas weights is like
Yeah.
buying a home or investing in something that, like, yes, it requires energy and resources to create, but the long-term investment of that is going to pay off so much more significantly. So,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
I've
powerful.
also I've also just found so far as the nutrition you fuel yourself with after a workout,
Yeah.
often there's this vicious cycle when you overdo the cardio of this over refueling with maybe let's call it processed refined carbohydrates,
Yeah.
whatever it is. You're not in as much control of the energy and energy out cycle. It's not working in your favor in the same way that it is with lifting weights.
Yes, I love that because the lifting of the weights is gonna require more of those foods, right? They're actually gonna use up more of those foods.
Yeah, there's a higher bang for your buck
Mhm.
metabolically, but also you just don't have that crazy craving that after you thrash yourself with a cardio session,
Yeah.
it's almost like your body is just screaming. You feel a bit out of control. I
Yeah.
know I do. Whereas the weight session, you're like, yep, this is what I need to fuel my body. It just
Yeah.
feels more, it's not the constant battle that we're
Yeah.
looking to avoid.
That's a really good point, and even hormonally speaking, it's like cardio can almost flip quite quickly into more of that chronic stress situation instead of taking a
Yeah,
longer
100%.
endurance, and,
Yep.
that makes it really hard and unsafe for the body, whereas, like,
Hmm.
weightlifting, I think is more of that beautiful acute stress that we want for the body. Let's stress it out and then have it come down and heal.
100%.
Yeah,
Yep, yep,
love
have
that
that
analogy.
adequate recovery. Yep, perfect.
Yeah, that's incredible. So let's dig into a little bit more than of that then. I'd love to talk about it when it comes to the actual, weightlifting program. Like, we now understand of how heavy we should be lifting. For you, does it depend a lot on someone's goals, or what's a good makeup of a workout routine? Are they working out 4 times a week? Should we work out 5 times a week? How long should those sessions be?
Yeah. So I'm a massive fan of doing something every day. I think our bodies were built to move. We start with what is sustainable for us. So very much that might just be a walk many of the days. With
Yes.
lifting weights specifically, ideally you've got at least 2 sessions a week. You know, one's better than nothing, but two's amazing and three is kind of optimal. If you're someone a little bit obsessed that absolutely loves it, for myself, I do it 4 times a week. Used to be six for many years. Four is great now.
Yeah.
So 2 to 3 to 4, it's dependent on your schedule and what fits in sustainably, even on a super crazy week. So, like, setting yourself up to fail is when you think of your most perfect week and everything you can possibly do, and you come together a plan aligned with that perfect week. But that's not your normal week. You need to know what you're going to do in those tough weeks.
Yeah.
So let's say 2 45-minute weight sessions a week. If that's all someone was playing with, they'd need to be a couple of days apart. They'd need to be full body workouts. You know, we can do our split programs when we do weights 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
2 days, I want them both to be full body so that we're hitting every
All the
major
muscle.
muscle group 100% both days. And I'm a fan of metabolic resistance training, which basically is like a circuit of big compound movements,
Mhm.
and it's opposing muscle groups back to back. So you don't need rest. You don't need too much rest because you're, say, moving from a pulling onto a pushing type of a movement. And you can keep powering through. It's like effective for your time as well as
Mm.
for your body.
I love that because you don't need as much as you say, you don't need as much time in between working those muscles because it's opposing.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's brilliant. You said something in there. You said it used to be 6 and now it's 4, and that's what's good for you at this time in your life. Can we talk about that? Why is that?
Yeah, we can. It was 6 when I was like working crazy hours in a gym. It was a franchise. I lovingly not call it the business from hell. And I was just in the gym like so many hours.
Yeah.
Training was the only me time in my life. And so I did it 6 days a week. Whereas now I have a lot more balance in my life. And so I do what's optimal for my body when I have more freedom. Four
Hmm.
times a week is enough. I could probably get away with three. I love it. And it's important for us to get to the point where exercise or the majority of our exercise is something we either do love or could love if we got better at it and when we start seeing the results for it, because that's the only way it's going to be sustainable.
Oh, I love that. It's such a good point. We often will do more of the things we like, and we often like the things
Hmm.
we're good at. So I
Yes,
think that's a
exactly.
really, really great point. But we have to
Yeah,
do something long enough to get results to like it. It's a funny little circle, isn't it?
exactly. Exactly.
Did you
Yeah.
notice, did this shifting from 6 to 4 also have anything to do with, like, just your hormones shifting in midlife or your energy levels, anything there, or was it just a natural evolution for you?
I think it was natural. Like my poor body was so stressed out when I had that
Mhm.
business anyway.
Yeah,
It was a super unfun period of life. And
yeah,
my period stopped. I was underweight.
yeah,
It wasn't a healthy period of life.
yeah.
So now just much better.
Yes, I love that. I love, and that just speaks to you listening to your body, right? We go through
Hmm.
hard times, we all do, it all happens
Yeah.
fast, but then we
Yeah.
do need that kind of period of almost slowing down or stepping back to recover and to reassess.
There are seasons, right? I treated my body like a machine
Yeah.
back then, and I'm sure a lot of women can relate to that. And we'll get away with it for a number of years. I got away with it in my 30s, when I
Yeah.
had to, and I my body survived,
Yeah.
but it wasn't fun or healthy, and it took a while for it get back to a more natural, sustainable state.
Yes, I love that. I think that's such a good point. In functional health, we talk about that being like your body's vital reserve. Like we're born with a full reserve,
Yes.
so we're capable of like going through these longer, difficult times. But
Yeah.
inevitably, when that reserve draws down, we do start to see a breakdown, and we have to fill it back up again. So
Yes.
it's a great balance.
True.
Okay, so along with this, like at least 2 times a week, up to 4 if you're really loving it, what else do you recommend? Like, do you encourage a certain amount of flexibility training? Do you encourage, again, walking, any type of cardio? What do you recommend in there?
If you love cardio, definitely work that in. I'm a huge advocate for walking. Again,
Yeah.
I just think it doesn't
Me
really put the
too.
stress on your body.
Yeah.
Exactly. Ideally, like if you can walk in nature, if you're lucky enough to do that,
Yeah.
you know, it, if I miss my walk in nature, I do it every day, twice a day now with this move that I've made to where I live now. But
Yay.
back in Sydney, in the big city, I'd notice I'd be this little grumpy bum halfway through the week. And it was because I hadn't got my walk along the beaches. I was still doing my gym workouts, but I hadn't been walking in nature. So something every single day. If that sounds daunting, just start with what works for you, or even a 10-minute walk, at
Yeah.
3:30 itis time when your brain's a bit fried, whatever it may be. But
Yeah.
something every day. And I would say aim for an 80-20 ratio where 80%, you're working towards 80% is the stuff that you love or comes naturally and easily. So it might be the walking, it might be dance, it might be yoga or swimming, whatever it is. 20%, that's that stuff that is high value, bang for your buck, super effective. It's lifting weights.
Yes, I love that. That's a great ratio to look at it. Focus on the movement that you love for 80% of the
Yep,
time and then just push yourself in the 20. That's a good
100%.
one. Yeah, and I'm with you. I think walking is so underrated. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if, we could all use more stress management in our lives, and if you're
Mhm.
not at the point where you're happy to sit down and, like, meditate out for 10, 20, 30 minutes, walking can be a really beautiful, like, moving meditation, I think, if we're just sort of there.
So agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Okay, so let's talk a little bit then about nutrition and what role it plays. I know you already said food first, which I love, and I think that's so critical. But when it comes to actually recovering, like nutrition for recovering for this muscle building. So we're in the gym, we're lifting the heavy weights now. What does nutrition composition look like for a woman? We'll stay more in there. Um, for this muscle building that's going to burn our fat.
Yeah. I mean, so I shared I was extreme low carb, extreme high protein back in my early personal training days,
Yeah.
18 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And I've modified that definitely. However, I'm still a massive fan of protein. It
Mhm.
irritates me a little bit how in my movement, the plant-based vegan world, there's kind of like, you don't have to worry about protein. Everyone else has to worry about fiber. That's the problem. Well, no, absolutely. We need adequate protein, and whether
Yes.
it's like 1 to 1.8 grams per kilo of
Yeah.
body mass, somewhere in that frame. I advocate 15 to 20 grams of protein per meal and
Yes.
snack.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're looking to build that into all of your meals. And, obviously for me, it's plant-based. It takes a little bit of effort up front, and then it happens fairly naturally.
Yeah.
I still like to have the protein after a weight session. I'm not as obsessive about it as I used to be. Used to be obsessive about many things, but it can be really quick, right? It can be
Yeah.
that plant-based protein shake after a session or during
Yeah.
a session, whatever it is. But just, I think important as women to be, as everyone, to be mindful when we're building our meals of the various components in it. Your whole food carbs, your plant-based, for me, proteins, your good fat, super
Yeah.
important as well, so that every meal is satisfying and
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah.
I want every meal to feel abundant and enjoyable, and not a missed opportunity where, wow, that was a boring meal. I mean, that's pretty sad.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, the food can get boring after a while, so especially if you're
Yeah, it
teenagers, you
shouldn't
really want
though.
yeah, you wanna
Yeah.
switch it up. I
Yeah.
love that. That's amazing, and I think you're right, like, protein is so important for our hormones and our body's ability to, like, repair, of course. It's probably the
Yeah.
most important one, but they're all so important to
We need them all. Yeah.
yeah, they all require I had someone explain it to me once, like, every cell in your body is made up of proteins and carbohydrates, and I
Yeah.
mean, sorry, proteins and fats, and carbohydrates drive are the energy behind the engine behind those cells all through your body. So if we're missing one of those, we
A
are
hundred
missing a little
percent.
something.
Yeah. And our bodies is amazing. It can get away for a period of time with a fairly restrictive approach to
Yeah.
eating. However, why would we put our body through that? Again, I'm a fan of the best body, not the beat body mindset, right? So we're
Mhm.
always thinking, my body and I are a team. What's best for us together as we work
Mhm.
together, not the beat the body into submission type of a mindset. Like, that's just horrific. But we've all been there.
Yeah. Yes, we all go through it, you're right, and I think, we hope with wisdom and experience that we make different decisions, don't we? That's
Yeah.
how it goes.
Well, do you know, Bria, that's one of the amazing things about getting older, is that you learn what works for your body.
Yeah.
When we were in our 20s, maybe I'd go away for the weekend, I'd eat everything, I'd chuck on a couple of kilos, I'd do a hideous amount of cardio, and I'd lose that weight in a week. That
Mhm.
was when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Now I know more the mindset strategies, and I know what works for my body physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And it's the same for all of us. We know what works,
Yeah.
and that's the knowledge that we've built up over these decades.
Yes, yes, especially as long as we're paying attention, and I think that's such an
Yeah.
important piece that both of us talk about is, like, we have to be paying attention, and when you shared that kind of like, "It's me and my body together," like, it's us
Hmm.
against the world, right?
Yes,
And I think
100%.
when we're working that mindset, then we are able to tune in to how she's feeling and what she needs so we can be a team.
Yes. Yeah.
I love
You
that.
trust each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay. I have one more question on nutrition, and then I have another question.
Ah,
Sorry.
cool.
So coming back with that, so I love that idea. We need like a good combination of all the macronutrients. We want to look at like 15 to 20 grams of protein per meal. Um, is there a when in in ideal world? So when it's like when we're working out, if when we're lifting heavy, here's my
Hmm.
question finally. When we're lifting heavy, Is it better to have fueled before, or is it better to fuel after? Is there a time frame in your experience that you recommend that?
I've changed my mind. I used to be super specific. Now I think it's what works for you, and
Mhm.
you know that. It's what allows you to get the most out of your training session. For me personally, I could never lift heavy weights without having some food on board.
Yeah.
You don't want to have just eaten a huge meal so that your body's wasting energy on metabolizing that meal rather than the actual workout that you're doing. So maybe, 60 minutes beforehand, a moderate meal, 90 to 60 minutes beforehand, a moderate meal. But again, some people can get up after sleeping and smash a really hard workout, and their body does that and they feel fine,
Yeah.
and they would feel sick if they force some food down. I don't ever want anyone to have to force food down.
Yeah.
So again, you know what works for you and stick to that. And for me personally, because I'm more of I love a lot of muscle, but I don't build it easily.
Mhm.
I'm pretty diligent with getting that protein in after my workout within a 60-minute window. Whether that's absolutely necessary or not, I've changed my mind on a little bit, but it feels right for me.
Yes, I love that. I love how, obviously I understand why you've been so successful and you have so much value to add. I just think that like real driver to connecting with yourself and how you encourage your clients that way is just priceless, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
amazing. Okay, so here's one last question I think I have for you, but is there a time when a woman's body isn't ready for fat burning or muscle building in your experience?
There absolutely is.
Mhm.
And it's when there's so much else happening in her life and
Mhm.
it would just be another stressor.
Mhm.
And best case scenario, the exercise that we love and the nutrition, it's all about what we're giving our body and our, but sometimes you're just not there yet and you are in survival mode. So maybe you're looking after sick parents and young children, or maybe your partner or you are unwell, or you're in that business from hell that I was stuck in for a number of
Yeah.
years. You're always working towards where the exercise and the nutrition focus can be prominent in your life again.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to feel like more pressure. If you are just struggling to stay afloat, I don't want to add more pressure by saying you must move every single day,
Yeah.
you must plan every single meal. That language of pressure, sometimes we're just, it's not the time for us. And I've been there as well in that business from hell. We were all forced to do either run a marathon or compete in body sculpting, and I decided to do the body sculpting because marathon wasn't aligned with my body composition goals. And I was working 14-hour days and I was training for this body sculpting event, and my body fat got down to like 12.9%.
Oh gosh.
And then my mum became seriously ill. And my trainer said to me, "This isn't your time. Like, just let this competition go. Like, family is most important." And she was so right. It
Ah,
wasn't my time to be putting my body through so much more additional stress and
yeah.
restriction.
Yeah.
And ladies listening, like, that's something to think to about genuinely what is best for your body right now.
Yeah. I love that's so beautiful. What a beautiful coach to talk your mentor to talk
Yeah.
about that, and how wonderful of you to listen to yourself. It's almost like when you think of that example of passive income that you give, it's like if building muscle is like is like investing in
Hmm.
a really great return on investment property or so. You have to have money to make money. So we have to have
Yeah.
energy in order to build
Yes.
and more energy in our muscle, don't we? And so if you're
Yep.
at capacity there, and stress is really at the end of the day, it's just an energy requirement. It's anything that requires energy of your body, doesn't it? So
Yep.
yeah, that's a great way of outlining it. If you're at capacity right now, adding more is not the right move.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
that's beautiful. But walking is always good. That's what I will say for
Think
sanity.
reframe it as precious you time, go at the pace that works for you, and start where best works for you time frame wise as well.
Yeah, amazing, Kate. Thank you so much. If do you have any is there anything else you would love to share with the women who are again who are in these busy midlife years who obviously want to feel like their best selves? Do you have any last thoughts for them?
Do you know, I always go back to the advice I learned in that old business, which is to back yourself 100%. I learned that the hard way, but I mean,
Mm,
you don't know what's coming up today, tomorrow, next month, or next year.
yeah.
Life is really uncertain, and that got slammed home for all of us in the past few years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Even though it has always been that way. So you can't have certainty in circumstances or other people. You
Yeah.
can have certainty in you, and you can have certainty in the fact that you are a person that will come through for you.
Yeah.
Again, that trust in yourself, or as I say it, to back yourself 100%.
I love that. And I think investing in yourself is a great way to get there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so beautiful, Kate. You have such a wonderful energy. You're a wealth of knowledge, and we didn't even get to touch even too deeply on the plant based, which I know you're just known for. So, for anyone who's listening who wants to learn more about fitness from you, or about plant based nutrition, or just nutrition to support their fitness, where is it best that they find you?
Priya, thank you. The website is the best place. It is strongbodygreenplanet.com. There you will find links to the Healthification podcast, my podcast, and
Yay!
also the Plant Positive Journal that helps you adopt a healthy plant-based lifestyle one step at a time. So strongbodygreenplanet.com.
I love it. Sisters, I will put that link in the show notes below. So swipe up, go check out Kate's website or follow her on Instagram and be more in your life by building your muscle, by building yourself up and connecting with your body and not just less on a scale. We'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for joining me on the Period Whisperer podcast. If you liked this episode, take 30 seconds right now to write a review on iTunes and then reach out to me directly on Instagram at Bria_period_whisperer and message me there with a screenshot of your review. As a thank you, I will give you a customized free hormone audit to get you on your way to the best health of your life in midlife.